Since its conception, America has been regarded as a place where the common person can have a voice, where anyone with determination and drive can make themselves heard by the government. Activism, lobbying, and protesting are crucial parts of American culture, and it is only natural that youth have begun to take up these activities earlier and earlier. For as long as there has been American activism, there has been youth activism, and there will continue to be youth activism as long as there is America. In December of 1965, a small group of students, including siblings Mary Beth and John Tinker, decided to wear black armbands to school to protest the Vietnam War.
We were really trying to raise awareness about the war in Vietnam. This is late 1965 that was happening, and the war had been escalating, but a lot of people weren't really aware of the war.
School faculty heard of their plan and preemptively forbade them from doing so. The students chose to wear their armbands anyway and were suspended until they agreed to remove them. The students remained out of school until after New Year's Day and wore black clothes for the rest of the year in protest. Through their parents, they sued the school system for violating their right to free speech, launching one of the most historic court cases to date, Tinker v. Des Moines.
I mean, we felt that the war was wrong, so we were basically trying to get people more interested in it.
After a 4-year legal battle, the Supreme Court finally ruled 7-2 that students do not forfeit their First Amendment rights once they enter a school. In true American fashion, these kids had seen something they disagreed with and fought for what they knew was right, and they certainly didn't wait until they were grown up to do it. Tinker v. Des Moines is just one example in a long line of youth activism throughout history.
And even before the United States was the United States, there were student protests during the American Revolution over both political issues and also conditions on campus.
In America, youth activism became more prevalent after World War II, and the country saw the rise of social justice movements, such as the Civil Rights Movement, Second Wave Feminism, and anti-war movements. These movements were all heavily aided and organized by students and young people. On May 2, 1963, more than 1,000 students skipped school and marched to downtown Birmingham, Alabama, to protest for racial equality. Hundreds were arrested and sent to jail on the first day. On the second day, the local police and fire departments were ordered to use force to stop the march. Fire hoses, police dogs, and clubs were used on the children. Images of the violence prompted outrage around the world, bringing more attention and support to the movement. The world had been seeing images of violence against adults and listening to the pleas of older advocates for years, but ultimately it was young people that brought huge amounts of attention to the injustice and cruelty in Alabama, and became a turning point in the civil rights movement. When youth are ignored, they raise their voices and rally together until they cannot be ignored anymore.
Youth have led these movements and will continue to lead the movements that follow. There is nothing you can do to stop it. The only thing you can do is join us, have conversations with us, resist with us, fight with us.
More recently, youth have been leaders in modern social movements such as gun control, Black Lives Matter, and climate change activism. 15-year-old high school student Kaylee, who attended a protest in DC for climate justice, stated that activism made her feel like she could make a difference.
I feel really proud of everyone who showed up and everyone who's doing things, and I feel hopeful, much more hopeful than before.
Of course, it can be argued that youth activism ultimately has negative effects. Youth activism can lead to stress because of its physical, mental, and emotional demands. It takes up a lot of time and energy, and requires mental and emotional commitment. This can lead to high amounts of stress, especially in young people. Stress causes poor physical health, including a weakened immune system and stomach and heart issues. Stress is linked to depression, which can lead to feelings of sadness, anxiousness, worthlessness, and hopelessness. These feelings can lead to a lack of motivation, and therefore may ultimately lead to decreased political participation.
So we can extend that to when we think about kids being involved in political activities. We know that we need to be careful when those activities are creating feelings where the kid feels out of control, feels like they don't have a handle on how to increase or decrease the stress that they're experiencing.
That was Dr. Daniel Pine, one of the authors of the DSM-5, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. However, while it is true that political activities can often make young people feel hopeless when they don't work out the way they want them to, they can also lead to a sense of achievement and help make a real difference.
It's the world we live in, and the youth have to live in the same world too, and the future world is their world. And so how much stress is worthwhile in order to try to get a grasp on what's really going on?
To be American is to speak out for what is right, regardless of age or experience. For centuries, youth and student activism have been key parts of the American identity. The right to protest is part of one of the most important concepts in the Constitution, and it makes sense that the young people of this country choose to utilize it in order to make this world a brighter place. After all, they are the future.
But to say that young people don't understand the world sort of is to imply that the adults do understand the world, and I think that's a wrong way to look at it. If adults really understood the world, why would it be in such a mess?